Famous actor Nicolas Cage consents to go to a birthday celebration in exchange for $1 million. Things take an odd turn when his family's lives are in danger while he is at the gathering for the highly wealthy fan. Before it's too late, Nick must free his wife and daughter from the fan, who also happens to be a drug lord. Nicolas Cage plays a fictionalized version of himself in the film. Welcome to Rapid Movie Recaps. Please subscribe, like, and turn notifications on. Please help support our channel by checking our merchandise down below. The film begins with the kidnapping of Maria, a young woman who is watching a film with her boyfriend whom she has abducted. Unfortunately, her boyfriend is killed, and Maria is abducted after failing to escape her home. Nicolas Cage, a Hollywood actor, is driving to a hotel in Los Angeles to meet a director. Apparently, he asked the director for a movie role because his career is struggling after being passed over for several major film roles, but the director does not wish to hear from him. Additionally, he is constantly harassed and tormented by Nikki, who he perceives to be his younger and more successful self. In addition to this, his relationship with his ex-wife Olivia and daughter Addie has been strained for years due to emotional neglect. Later, Olivia invites him to Addie's birthday party to prevent her from hating him even more. Nick subsequently visits a spa with his agent, Richard, to relax. While their backs are being spanked, Richard informs him of a vague offer of $1 million involving a trip to Mallorca to meet a billionaire playboy and be his guest of honor at his birthday party. However, Nick is currently uninterested despite owing $600,000 in debt. Following this, he attends Addie's birthday party where he receives a phone call from Richard informing him that the role has been given to another actor. Nick, infuriated, ransacks the party and humiliates his daughter by playing the piano and singing for Addie. Nick is escorted home by Olivia, who then requests that he resolve his conflict with Addie. In desperation, he calls Richard and tells him he will accept the ambiguous offer and then quit his job. The following day, Nick flies to Mallorca, where two CIA agents, Martin and Vivian, are awaiting the arrival of a local crime boss, but are surprised to see Nicolas Cage there. Therefore, Martin abandons their reconnaissance mission and orders Vivian to leave, but she refuses to comply. She instead approaches Nick and introduces herself as a fan. While requesting a photo with him, Vivian slips a tracker into his jacket pocket in order to locate him later. Nick then meets his employer, the billionaire Javi. Javi is a huge Nick fan, and he wants Nick to appear in one of the upcoming films he is producing. Then he introduces his cousin, Lucas, and his assistant, Gabriella, who also compliments Nick's film industry legend status. The following morning, Javi takes Nick to Spain's famous cliffs. Javi abruptly stops the car in the middle of their journey, explains that something is urgent, and instructs Nick to run away from the vehicle. It appears to be a scene from his script. Nick is initially irritated by him, but Javi continually reminds him of his acting abilities and urges him to continue acting. As a result, he follows Javi's encouragement, and the two jump from the cliffs into the water. When they return to the shore, they quickly form a bond over their unexpectedly shared interest in films such as The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Paddington 2. Nick goes to a bar at night to get drunk. The CIA agents abruptly drag him into a van as he walks home. Vivian explains that they suspect Javi of kidnapping Maria, the daughter of a Catalan anti-crime politician. The kidnappers hope that her father will withdraw from an upcoming election as a result. In light of this, the agents want Nick to learn more about Javi and confirm their suspicions. Vivian convinces Nick to assist the CIA with the mission by making him consider how he would feel if Addie were in Maria's position. Initially, Nick does not want to be involved with this mission. Nick is then tasked with secretly installing cameras in Javi's compound during a party he hosts. In the midst of his mission, a guard approaches his room. Nick inadvertently rubs the drug on his head and begins to become paralyzed after the agents order him to use the drug to paralyze the guard. Martin and Vivian continue to guide him away from the approaching guard as they lead him to the room containing the antidote. Nick loses consciousness before he can inject himself with the antidote. Vivian then makes a quick decision about how to wake him up and ends up yelling action. This causes Nick's acting propensities to kick in and causes him to rush to inject himself with the antidote, enabling him to successfully rig the cameras in the house. His mission, however, does not end there. Vivian informs him that he must remain in the compound longer so that they have additional time to locate Maria. Nick returns downstairs and joins the party, where he announces a new film collaboration with Javi. The next day, the agents receive a possible location for Maria, and Vivian asks Nick to investigate it immediately. Nick encounters Javi as he attempts to locate the location. Javi asks him to tour the city. Due to the effects of LSD, they hallucinate that everyone is watching them, prompting them to flee in fear. In addition, both of them act as if they are actors in a film. Nick discovers, upon their return to Javi's compound, that he maintains a shrine room dedicated to all of his previous films, which contains a wax figure of his character Castor Troy from the film Face Off. complete with identical golden guns. Nick is therefore impressed by all the collections and finds it difficult to betray Javi as he believes that he is not the abductor. Vivian persuades him to stay close to him and attempts to incorporate Maria's kidnapping into their script so that he may reveal where Maria is. Javi interprets Nick's explanation of his new kidnapping subplot as an indication that he has gone bankrupt and possibly has family issues he needs to resolve. Because of this, Javi brings Olivia and Addie from Los Angeles to his compound in secret. Unfortunately, they are frightened and enraged by what is occurring, believing it to be another of his ridiculous schemes to restart his career. Nick continues to try to make amends with them, but they reject his appeal and accuse him of putting his film career ahead of his family. On the other hand, Javi secretly meets Lucas, who is revealed to have kidnapped Maria at Sergio's order, the local crime boss that Martin and Vivian have been tracking. Lucas also warns Javi that Nick is working for the CIA and demands that he kill Nick or else Lucas will kill Javi. In the meantime, Vivian calls Nick and instructs him to eliminate Javi so that the agents can organize an escape route for him and his family. Nick finally reveals to his ex-wife that he works for the CIA and instructs her to prepare to flee. Nick and Javi drive together into the woods the following morning, where they engage in a standoff. However, they are unable to kill each other because they have become so close over time. Unfortunately, Lucas sends his men after Nick and Javi, forcing them to fight back. They race back to the residence only to discover that Addie has been abducted. Nick then brings Javi, Olivia, and Gabriella to the CIA's safe house, which is compromised by Lucas's men. Martin has been tragically killed, and Vivian has sacrificed herself to eliminate the bandits before they can ambush the group. That evening, they attempt to devise a plan to retrieve the girls. Nick and Olivia pose as a couple of reclusive criminals with Javi's assistance in order to approach Lucas. Nick also uses his acting abilities to subdue the thugs, and the two eventually locate Addie and Maria, only to be discovered by the guards. All of them are able to escape, with Javi and Gabriella remain behind to buy time. They race to the American embassy while Lucas continues to pursue them. Once there, Lucas manages to hold Nick at gunpoint, but Addie throws his father a knife, which Nick uses to kill him, morphing into the film that Nick and Javi presumably created based on their recent adventure. A few years later, Javi's film is produced with Nick in the lead role, and Nick's performance is praised. He then congratulates Javi and expresses his pride in their new film. Nick goes home with his family to watch Paddington 2 at the conclusion of the film, and it is evident that their relationship has improved. This movie can be purchased at the link in the description below. Thank you for watching.